Hello. Today I am with my quilt. It is a quilt in progress. I will be showing you this and talking about it today. I started this quilt in Montana back in 2014 when it became obvious I was going to have to leave the western side of the country for a while. And I couldn't take my entire fabric collection with me. What I did was to go through my fabric collection and cut a square from each piece. And I sewed them all into this quilt. So this is my quilt. It's kind of a story quilt in a way, because it carries a story about my travels. It contains a couple of these starburst squares here. They're squares that are a little bit larger than the rest of the squares. When I was in Montana, I joined a quilt making group, and these were some of the projects that we did in that group. That's how I came up with these two squares. Just kind of randomly in here, like here's another piece that started to be patchworked. So although it's mostly squares, there's some variation, some complexity in here with these pieces. So yeah, here's another one. Here's two pieces kind of joined together. So there's little breaks in the overall pattern. There is a wide variety of fabric in here. We have satiny pieces, some are velvety, different patterns. We have silk. This is silk, and then the star pattern is the same fabric. We have some jacquards in here. Even some things like flannel, canvas. Yeah, so when I put this together, it was really just anything goes, just to keep a piece of everything here. This wool fabric, I made a dress out of that fabric. There's a little piece here in the quilt. I made some pajamas with this fabric. I made a skirt with this fabric. I made a skirt out of this fabric too. A lot of my sewing history is in here, and some of my personal history. So I'd really like to finish this piece before my journeys begin again. This is a warm and natural batting. It's cotton. This is what's going to go inside of it. This one is very large. Since I already have the batting and the quilt top done, I think the next step is to do the underside, the backing. So I have to come up with enough cloth to cover the same area of space. I'm going to go through my fabric collection and see what I have. I think in order to make sense of any of this, I need to iron. I spent the day ironing. I ironed the quilt and all of these small pieces. I did it all on this small board. It took me a while, but I finally found enough fabric to cover the entire quilt top. So what I have to do now is to sew the fabric together and then layer it with the batting and sew them together. which I'll only be able to machine sew on the edges. This is the start of the underside of the quilt. So there it is, the quilt bottom all sewn together. Now I'm going to turn this over and layer it. Okay, so that's roughly the idea. Then I will have to pin this into place. I got the quilt sewn together with the backing and the batting. The only thing to do now is all of these edges. So I'm going to be cutting some binding, and I was thinking of using the screen cloth, but then I started falling in love with the idea of using this cloth, which is used on the backing. So this will give it some continuity on the front. And I kind of like how the little stars in here play off the starbursts in the quilt. And I'm pretty sure I have just enough of this to do the binding. So today I'm going to be ironing that, cutting it out, and sewing it into binding. I just wound up some fresh bobbins with blue thread. I'm going to use two kinds of navy blue thread. Here it is. This is the completed quilt. It is finished. So there is the binding.